Hey guys, welcome to SK Educational Studies. Let us read chapter 2, Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. Written by Nelson Mandela himself. In fact, we can say it is an autobiography of Mandela. Okay, so before you read, let me just read what is apartheid. I think in history or in civics, you must have heard of this term apartheid. What is apartheid? Apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Means we can say it's a system of racial discrimination. And mainly these countries, I think, in South Africa and then in United States of America, these system or these policies were followed. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. So you need to remember this. What is it? Nelson Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. 3 centuries means almost 300 years of white rule. Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, ANC in short, party won 252 out of 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. So, after 300 years, South Africa's first democratic election was held, and in that election, it was Mandela and his party, African National Congress Party (ANC), won 252 seats out of 400 seats. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria today, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. So, inauguration ceremony took place in Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria in South Africa, which was attended by politicians and dignitaries, representatives from more than 140 countries. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the operation of one by another, said Mandela in his address. So, this is what Mandela had said in his speech, that this country will not again be ruled or be oppressed or be tortured by the whites. Jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with blacks, whites, and coloreds. Coloreds here means that Indians celebrating together. Jubilant scenes means very cheerful scenes, very lively scenes. More than 100,000 South African men, women, and children of all races sang and danced with joy. In fact, everybody was very happy, be it black, white, colored, everybody. So let's read, let's start the chapter. Here it is. Okay. So we have just read the overview of it. In fact, we can say the summary of it. Let's now read the chapter. 10th May dawned bright and clear. So 10th May dawned means the morning of 10th May occurred and it was very bright and clear because it gives a new sign of beginning. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. Besieged by means surrounded by. So here I refers to Mandela, as I told you that it is an autobiography. He has written it's of his own life. So he said that for past few days he had been surrounded by dignitaries and world leaders from different parts of the world before the inauguration ceremony. The inauguration would be the largest gathering over the international leaders on South African soil, and this inauguration ceremony was the largest ever gathering of international leaders on South African soil. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre formed by the Union Buildings in Pretoria. I have already told you about this, that the inauguration ceremony took place in the lovely building, or we can say amphitheatre, a building without a roof with many rows of seats, and it was in Pretoria in South Africa. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. There is a reason that why the inauguration ceremony was decided to be held in amphitheatre, because before the inauguration ceremony, or we can say before the independence of South Africa, this building used to be the supremacy by the white Africans. Means it was under the authority or control of the whites. And now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. So, what was the ceremony? The inauguration ceremony was that of the first democratic non-racial government to be conducted. So that was the ceremony. It was the ceremony of first means South Africa's first democratic non-racial government. So rainbow gathering of different colors mean different people belong to different parts of the world, as well as blacks, whites, and colored people of South Africa. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Zanani. So, who was present there in the inauguration ceremony along with Mandela? His daughter was there with him, accompanied him, and the name of his daughter was Zanani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. So, you need to remember who was first sworn in, means taken the oath or promise as the second deputy president. It was Mr. De Klerk. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. Then it's the turn of Thabo Mbeki, who was sworn in as the first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the republic and its people. And finally, it was Mandela's turn, who pledged, means who took the oath or sworn or took the promise to obey and uphold. Uphold means to continue, means to abide by, to respect the constitution and to devote himself for the well-being of the republic and its people, and the people of South Africa, not whites, not black. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, let's see what he said in his speech. Today, all of us do by our presence here confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. So, he says that in presence of everybody on the South African soil, he confers, means he gives and glory and hope to newborn liberty, means the newly achieved freedom. Liberty means freedom. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. So, exactly for 3 centuries ago, the real inhabitants of South Africa, they had passed through intolerable anxiety, cruelties. So he said that this is what the beginning of the end of all such anxieties. We who were outlaws not so long ago have today been given the rare privilege to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. Outlaws mean they were considered, we can say that just like Dalits used to considered outlaws in India, just like the Africans, the black Africans, they were facing racial discrimination and were called outlaws. So Mandela here said that those Africans, those black Africans or the colored people who used to be regarded as outlaws, now they are given the privilege, the advantage to bring a new world on their own soil. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is, after all, a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. Then he had thanked all those international guests who were present in his inauguration ceremony, where he took oath as the first black president of South Africa, and he then proclaimed that he would definitely provide the people of his country justice, peace, and human dignity. We have at last achieved a political emancipation, means they got freedom from restrictions, because during the white rule they were being restricted from several things. They were racially discriminated. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender, and other discrimination. Deprivation means state of not having one's rightful benefits. Not means not to be allowed to enjoy your own benefits. Means what is your right? So he said that finally, at last, all the people in South Africa, means especially the blacks in South Africa, they got freedom from poverty, freedom to enjoy their rights now. They would no longer be suffered on the basis of gender or on the basis of races or any other kind of discrimination. Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. So he said that never hereafter, means never, the South African soil will be the land of suffering, or the oppression. Oppression means the cruelties, the torture that the blacks faced by the whites. So he said that this is not going to happen again. The sun shall never set, and so glorious a human achievement. Let freedom reign, means prevail. Let freedom prevail everywhere. God bless South Africa. So this is how his speech ended. He said that it's freedom for all, and it has a new sun begun, means a new sign of glory has come to human's achievement. And what is that achievement? Achievement of freedom. Let's now come to the next one. A few moments later, we all lifted our eyes in awe as a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters, and troop carriers rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. Awe means surprise, an extremely surprising, spectacular scene of South African jets, helicopters, troops. They all flew and carried and rode, means made sound in perfect formation over the Union buildings. It was, I think, it was a mark showing respect to the newly formed democratic non-racial government. It was not only a display of pinpoint precision and military force, but a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. So, what Mandela had said? Mandela had said that the spectacular scene of South African jets, helicopters is not just to show the military power, but it's to show the military's loyalty, means faithfulness to democracy, to the new government which has been freely and fairly elected by the people. Only moments before, the highest generals of the South African Defence Force and police, their chests bedecked with ribbons. Bedecked means covered or decorated with ribbons and medals from days gone by, saluted me and pledged their loyalty. I mean, those white generals who once used to torture Mandela and other black people, they are now showing their respect and saluting Mandela. I was not unmindful of the fact that not so many years before they would not have saluted but arrested me. So he revisited the scene before many years ago when these very generals who were whites, they had arrested him. He was taken into custody. But the very generals now, they were saluting him. Finally, a chevron of Impala jets left a smoke trail of the black, red, green, blue, and gold of the new South African flag. So, chevron means a V-shaped pattern. If you have ever looked at South African flag, then you can see that mark of or shape of V. So, the new South African flag was commemorated, and it was of black, red, green, blue, and gold in color, symbolizing liberty, symbolizing newfound freedom. The day was symbolized for me by the playing of our two national anthems and the vision of whites singing Nkosi Sikelel iAfrika and blacks singing Die Stem, the old anthem of the Republic. So, that day he witnessed the two national anthems which were played, which were sung, one of the blacks and one of the whites. Although that day neither group knew the lyrics of anthem they once despised, they would soon know the words by heart. So he said that very soon the people of South Africa, I mean both the whites and blacks, would be very soon would be acquainted with the new national anthem which will be played, forming both the anthems of whites and blacks. So earlier what happened, the whites used to despise, means hate the blacks anthem, and vice versa, means the blacks hated the whites national anthem. But he was happy that after this inauguration ceremony there would be no such discrimination, no such hatefulness, because very soon they would be acquainted with the single national anthem. On the day of the inauguration, I was overwhelmed by the saints of history. In the first decade of the 20th century, a few years after the bitter Anglo-Boer War and before my own birth, the white-skinned peoples of South Africa patched of the differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark-skinned peoples of their own land. So here he has moved back to the history of South Africa, that how the whites captured the land of Africa by defeating the Anglos, means Anglo-Africans in Anglo-Boer War, and how they covered and how they ruled, how they had defeated the dark skin in the black people and discriminated them, oppressed them, dominated them. The structure they created formed the basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. So he said that the structure, I mean the form of government which was created by the whites was the harshest, means most cruelty, inhuman, completely inhuman cruelty societies of the world that has ever known. Now, in the last decade of the 20th century, and my own eighth decade as a man means by that time Mandela is 80 years old. That system had been overturned forever and replaced by one that recognized the rights and freedoms of all peoples, regardless of the color of the skin. Now, he's very happy that history has changed. What has changed? The oppression, the discrimination which was caused by the whites has brought to an end, and now every people of South Africa, be it white, be it black, or be it colored, everybody has equal rights and freedom. That day had come about through the unimaginable sacrifices of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. So he remembers, he becomes nostalgia when he remembers the sacrifices of thousands of his own people. And he says that it can't be counted or can't be repaid, the lives that they have sacrificed for the freedom. I felt that day, as I have known so many other days, that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. That long and noble line ended and now began again with me. He has remembered his friends, those people who have sacrificed their life for achieving freedom. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what the sacrifices had wrought. Wrought means achieved. So here in his speech, in his address to the nation, in the inauguration ceremony, as far as we read his speech, that he had not given thanks to his own friends, those who had lost their lives, and also those people who battled, who fought for their freedom and sacrificed their lives for the country. Anyhow, he said that it really pained him a lot for not mentioning their names. But in his autobiography, he has thanked them and he is really very proud of them because it's all the sacrifices that had that had brought them freedom. The policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country and my people. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that profound hurt. Profound hurt means they were deeply hurt, deeply tortured. Who? The blacks. How? By the policy of apartheid, which was created by the so-called white regime, means white rule. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was that it produced the Oliver Tambos, the Walter Sisulu's, the Chief Luthulus, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishes, the Robert Sukos of our time, men of such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. So here he says that it is the policy of apartheid, the cruelties that were bestowed upon the blacks by the so-called whites, produced great leaders of South Africa that he has mentioned here, extraordinary men of courage, wisdom, and kindness, and generosity. Perhaps it requires such depths of oppression to create such heights of character. So he has said that if they were not being oppressed by the whites, perhaps such extraordinary men have not taken birth on this soil. My country is rich in the minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer and truer than the purest diamonds. South Africa is very rich in minerals, particularly in gold and diamonds. So he has said that the people of his country are even more richer, more pure than diamonds. It is from these comrades, means his friends, in the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. So how he got the courage to fight? He got the courage from his friends, from his comrades during the struggle movement. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. What is the idea? The idea of achieving freedom. So he witnessed how men and women they have risked their life, sacrificed their life for a single idea, the idea of freedom. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking, showing a strength and resilience that defies imagination. Resilience means great spirit, hardship. How the people of South Africa have faced, tortured, and stood very strongly to fight against such kind of discrimination. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. So, what is the meaning of courage according to Mandela? He said that courage is not the absence of fear, but to triumph over fear means to victory or to conquer over fear is what the courage is meant. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers the fear. So, who, according to Mandela, is a brave man? A brave man is not a man who doesn't get scared, but a brave man is someone who conquers over the fear, means who wins over the fear or who defeats the fear. No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. So that's what he says that it's not right to hate people just because of his skin color or because of his background or of his religion. It's not right. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes naturally to the human heart than its opposite. So, but he has given a very strong message. He says that in order to love someone, we first know to hate. So he says that if people can learn to hate, then they can learn to love because love comes naturally, inner force. Love comes spontaneously. Even in the grimmest times means hardest times, most difficult times in prison. When my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, I would see a glimmer of humanity in one of the guards, perhaps just for a second, but it was enough to reassure me, means to give him assurance and keep me going. So, what gave him the courage to keep him going instead of tortured oppression that he had faced, he and his friends faced in the prison? So it's he said that even in the grimmest times in prison means hardest times in prison when he saw his comrades and he too was pushed to such a limit that which is absolutely intolerable. When he watched a slight shine of humanity in the face of the white government means white authorities. So that gave him assurance that to keep him going, to keep this struggle continue. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. So he says that each and every man has some kind of goodness, and but the thing is that it is kept hidden, but it cannot be extinguished. It cannot be blotted out or blown out. Now let's come to the next one. In life, everyone has twin obligations. Twin means two different kind of obligations. Means duties. Obligations to his family, parents, wife, and children. This is the first one that we have the duty towards our family, parents, wife, and children. And here's an obligation to his people, his community, his country. The second obligation is for our country. In a civil and human means kind or civilized society. Each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclinations and abilities. So each man must be given absolute freedom to enjoy such obligations. But in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color to fulfill both of these obligations. So he said that in a country like South Africa, it was not possible for the people like him, means like of his color, of his birth, to fulfill dual objectives. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live as a human being was punished and isolated. So, if any black African human used to, attempt to live like the whites, they were being punished and isolated, means sent to exile or separated from their family. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family and his home and was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. A twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion means This what I have already told you, that if any man who belongs to the black community has ever tried to fulfill those obligations towards his country as well towards his people, they were being ripped off from his family, I mean thrown out of his family and his home, and were forced to live a separate, isolated life where there is no twilight, there is no light of hope. They were being thrown out to live either in secret, or they used to rebel against the white regime. Means they used to live in exile. I did not in the beginning choose to place my people above my family, but in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, a brother, a father, and husband. So at first, he had never grown such thoughts in his mind. He had never thought about his own people. But when he started serving his own people, then he understood that he was even prevented from fulfilling his own obligations as a son, brother, father, and husband to his own family members. I was not born with hunger to be free. I was born free, free in every way that I could know. So he said that he was not aware of what is freedom, because he was almost born freely. So he had never developed such hunger for freedom. Free to run in the fields near my mother's hut, free to swim in the clear stream that ran through my village, free to roast mealies means a type of grains, under the stars, and ride the broad backs of slowing moving bulls. So you see that what he has said, that how he enjoyed freedom in his childhood days. There is no restriction on him. So he had never thought of his freedom, because he was already enjoying the freedom. As long as I obeyed my father and abided by means stick to the customs of my tribe, I was not troubled by the laws of man or God. So as long as he was obeying his parents' rules, parents' words, he was enjoying his freedom. So he was never troubled by any laws created by the whites or even by the God. So how come he got to know about the freedom which was absolutely necessary? How he generated the hunger for freedom? It is only when I began to learn that my boyhood freedom was an illusion, when I discovered as a young man that my freedom had already been taken from me, and that I began to hunger for it. Illusion means when something which comes to be real, but in reality it is not real. It's only when he grew up as a young man, and then only he got to know that the freedom which he used to enjoy in his childhood days was actually an illusion, was a false notion, false idea, false imagination. And then only he started to generate hunger for freedom. At first, as a student, I wanted freedom only for myself. The transitory freedoms means the not permanent, of being able to stay out at night, read what I pleased, and go where I chose. So, what he said that when he was a student, he was not at all bothered about freedom, because he was actually enjoying his freedom. Later, as a young man in Johannesburg, I yearned for the basic and honorable freedoms of achieving my potential, of earning my keep, of marrying and having a family, the freedom not to be obstructed in a lawful life. Yearned means felt or desired. So when he desired for the freedom, for the basic needs, for the basic necessities, basic rights, freedom, when he became a young man and used to live in Johannesburg, there only he understood that he was actually deprived of getting freedom, deprived of enjoying freedom. He could not keep his earning, means he could not earn it. It's all means he could not. He was actually, what is it? Not fulfilling the obligations of having married, family, and his own life is obstructed by the law created by the white regimes. But then I slowly saw that not only was I not free, but my brothers and sisters were not free. I saw that it was not just my freedom that was curtailed, but the freedom of everyone who looked like I did. Then only he realized that it was not only his freedom, yet the freedom of his own people had been curtailed, means reduced. I mean, they too were deprived of getting actual freedom. That is when I joined the African National Congress, and that is when the hunger for my own freedom became the greater hunger for the freedom. So that is why, that's the reason he joined the African National Congress, for achieving freedom to his own soil, to his own people. Yes, freedom of my own people. It was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect that animated my life. Animated here means that transformed or changed his life. That transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. That drove a law-abiding attorney. Attorney means lawyer. To become a criminal. That turned a family-loving husband into a man without home. That forced a life-loving man to live like a monk. So when he understood, when he desired for the freedom, means when the desire for the hunger of freedom grew in his mind for his own people, he decided that to become a bold one. And it animated his life, it transformed his life, it changed his life, and made him a young man of courage. And from a law-abiding and lawyer, means attorney, and he became a criminal. Actually, he was not a criminal; he was a criminal in the eyes of the white government, means white authorities. He left his family, and he left his family and became from a loving husband. He became a man without home and lived his life just like a monk. I am no more virtuous or self sacrificing than the next man, but I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people are not free. So, how come he enjoyed freedom? When he got to know that his own people were not free. So, he wanted that the freedom of his own people were much more necessary than his own freedom. Freedom is indivisible. Yes, it cannot be divided. Means only whites can be given freedom and blacks cannot be. That's not. The chains on any one of my people were the chains on all of them. The chains on all of my people were the chains on me. So he saw that when his own people were chained, means were restricted from enjoying freedom, that means his own freedom was also curtailed, means he was also not getting freedom. I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as oppressed. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. So, what he believes that how he has distinguished between someone who is oppressed and someone who is oppressor. Oppressor is a man or a person who try to torture the others, and those who are being oppressed, those who are being tortured, they are called oppressed. So he said that the man who tries to take away other man's freedom is actually himself a prisoner. A prisoner of what? A prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow minded. Prejudice means we can say the discrimination, the feelings of dislike of a particular community, religion, like that. So he says that the man who takes away another man's freedom shows is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. He is a kind of narrow-minded person the one who tries to take away another man's freedom. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. Exactly, when he has not been provided his freedom, that means he is not free. And in the same way, if he is trying to take away someone else's freedom, then he is also what is it? Not freedom. Means he is definitely a prisoner of hatred. Someone who tries to take away others' freedom. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. So in that sense, both the oppressed and the oppressor are same, are alike, and are robbed of their humanity, means are deprived of their humanity. How is it? The oppressed, mean the person who is being tortured here is said to be deprived of getting or enjoying his own freedom. And the oppressor, in the sense that one who tortures others, he is also not freedom because he has been locked behind the bars of narrow mindedness, bars of prejudice, bars of dislikeness. So this is what all about here. Mandela has tried to give a very strong message of humanity, where the central idea focuses on freedom, equality, respect for human beings, respect for all, be man or woman, poor or rich. I hope you like my explanation. So please don't forget to give your feedbacks and suggestions. Thank you. Have a nice